Number 1. The Farmer. My mother-in-law was a very funny and cool woman. She and my wife were really close, but sadly she passed away when our son was about 4 months old. Flash forward a few years. We live in an old 1930s era craftsman house in Pasadena, California. Our son is about 3 at the time. I was giving him a bath one night and he starts looking over my shoulder, not at random stuff, but at something. A moment passes and he asks me why Grandma calls Mommy a funny name. I asked him what he meant, thinking he was talking about my mom. He then says, why does Grandma call Mommy Cartolina? This was my mother-in-law's nickname for my wife. I was really set back by this. My wife and I never used the nickname. It was just what her mom called her since she was a baby. I asked him where he heard that. His reply, the farmer told me. I asked him who the farmer was, and he replied, his friend. I tell my wife this story later, and she of course reduced to tears over the whole nickname thing. We both know there's no way for him to know this. Flash forward to the next weekend. My son is playing in his room, my wife is at work, and I'm at home. After a little while, I hear my son talking like he's having a conversation. He's saying things like yes, no, I don't know that, then some laughing. I go into his room and ask him what he's doing, and he says, playing. I ask him with who. He says, the farmer. Number 2. Psychic Circle. About 10 years ago, I was very good friends with this girl who was as interested in the paranormal as I was. She bought a Ouija-type board called Psychic Circle. It had words, photos, symbols, and a book that told you how to interrupt it. We never had much luck except for one night. She took it over to her aunt's house and they apparently had a really intense experience with it. Her aunt asked her to leave it for a few nights so she could use it on her own. My friend left it and we made plans to visit her that weekend so we could all play together. So that Friday night, we head over in hopes of a good supernatural experience. As soon as I got in the car, I just had a feeling of dread. I've had a few brushes with paranormal stuff in the past and the prospect wasn't frightening to me, but I just felt wrong about it. We get to her house and her aunt pretty much seems to dislike me the second I walked in the door. The feeling of dread is even more intense once I got to the house. I just sort of brushed it off as paranoia and tried to be friendly. My friend's aunt takes the board out of the box and it looked old as hell. Weathered like it had been left in the sun for a few years. The previous bright colors were faded and worn. My friend said, what happened to the board? And her aunt told her it had been sweating. So her aunt puts it on the table, looking at me with the utmost of suspicion. At this point, I felt absolutely terrified and my palms are clammy and shaky. I put them on the oracle and her aunt says, no! I take them off and she says, they don't like you. They don't want to answer your questions. I can just tell. We end up leaving shortly after that. My friend got upset. She said that whole episode was very out of character for her aunt. And she also refused to give the board back. I ended up buying my own, but no luck with that one. I took it as a sign and gave it to one of my friends. Thanks guys. Please share, comment, and subscribe for more videos. And remember, never forget to lock your doors.